taking a little bit of a different approach on tonight's video. It's going to be on a specific topic, so kind of the current political environment, or really just the current situation we're in as a society in America. I say America because that's what I know. I'm sure some of this applies globally and other places as well, but kind of the current status of how we're functioning as a society. But it's going to be a little bit more impassioned maybe than other videos I've posted. I say that up front because it's intentional, not for a show, but just because I feel passionate about the topic. So I think it's genuine, but also because I believe what I talk about and what we talk about, that when emotion gets involved, rationality and logic almost definitely go down somewhat. So I tried to be as thoughtful about this as I could. It's not, perfect. There may be some things that aren't fully thought through, but I'm open to that. So I acknowledge up front some of that might come through. But it's something that I feel strongly about. So I want to explore it. And this is the way I explore stuff. So with that, we're not in a good spot, obviously, as a country, as a society. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of divisiveness. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of desperation. And it's more or less coalesced and formed into two groups, right? Left and right, as we all kind of know. And it's just gotten to such a point where it's genuinely scary to look at and to see. And scary, obviously, in the sense of, there could be violence and there's, bad things that happen. And we're living in a time now of coronavirus and people dying from that and, bad stuff. But more scary from from a human perspective, that we were able to get to this point, that we have so much hate between us, and many of us aren't really sure why. I mean, we know why. I shouldn't say that. There's bad things that happen, but we're not questioning enough. Is it proportionate, the hate that we have? Is it always logical? Are we looking at it enough? Are we looking at ourselves enough? That's the part that, is upsetting or concerning to me. And, particularly when you look at it from there's these two sides here. Both sides feel so certain that they're right. They feel so certain the other side is the enemy, and that all actions we're taking or they're taking are in the name of good. And that there's sacrifice in that, and there's things, bad things that have to happen, but it's definitely for the right reason. And, you can almost think of it as like a TV show we'd watch when we were kids, whatever show, it doesn't matter. There's a good guy, there's a bad guy, it's Batman, it's Joker, it's whatever. There's a good side, there's a bad side. Even through history, as we learned it in school, there's good and bad, right? America was good, and, certain areas were bad, and just the way in which it's all taught, that's how we think. So naturally, that's being applied to this situation by both sides. But it feels, somebody that tries to be, not get into having a side and playing for a team when it comes to this and being wed to a certain ideology or anything like that. It feels like it's two bad sides, right? It's two bad guys we're dealing with here, or bad, villains, what have you. And let me be very clear on that. I say that not that the people within those sides are all bad. I'm sure there's some bad people everywhere in every group. But the people that make up the left and make up the right, I don't believe the large majority of them are bad people. I can't believe that, and I don't believe it. I think there's things that have led you to feel so strongly and passionately as you do, that have led you to question so deeply the other side and believe there's an evil there. But I think at the core, we are still predominantly a good society, good people that care about each other. Part of the problem is we are so either intentionally or unintentionally unaware of reality and the role we play in this, and it shows, right? We don't acknowledge enough when we mess up, when there's something that people deserve to be angry about. We play defense too much, as we've talked about, and we worry too much, right? So, take a side. Take the liberal side. Liberals, right? People that are far left. I get it. I get it. Donald Trump's our president. He is, at best, he's somebody that's not mentally equipped to do this job. He is at best slightly racist, slightly as a lot of people are, but supremely ignorant, right? Which oftentimes is very much confused with racism and maybe is. And so self-involved and unaware himself, right? And we elected this person as president, and he did things that made it abundantly clear he should not have been president. But we elected him, right? We as Americans, we elected him. And he's here, and the things he's doing, the things he's saying are so divisive. And so at times it feels like intentionally manipulative, trying to provoke people, just trying to make things worse, being so childish and superficial. So I get it. I get you being angry. I get you saying, hey, the 40 million or however many of you it was that voted this man into office, how could you do that? How could you do that to us? I get that feeling. And I get if you look further back, right, and you are looking at, minorities and LGBTQ, the LGBTQT community, there have been things that have been done against those people that is so wrong and so terrible by institutions, by people, because it was different and it was not them and they didn't like it and they stuffed it away and it went on for a super long time, right? So I get it. I get you being angry. I get you being mad. I totally get it. But what you have to be careful of is if you get to a position, which maybe right now is that time, right, where you have that opportunity and you have that power, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to do the same thing they did? Are you going to abuse it? Are you going to use it to hold people down? What's the point then? What's the point if that's the objective? To get the power and then based on your beliefs, your values, crush anybody who's against you. How does that put us in any better of a place? It just sets us up and aligns us to a different value system. There's still people getting hurt. I thought that was the point. We didn't want people being hurt. We didn't want people being destroyed for arbitrary reasons or something so absurd as the color of your skin. That's not what we wanted. We want a better place, right? So when you have that opportunity to make a better place, focus on that. Make that the goal. Again, you have the ability to crush people if you want to, but that just makes you like them. What's the point? And likewise, people on the right, I get it. I get where you're coming from, right? There's this feeling where everything you say and everything that you thought was sacred or real in the world is now being questioned and in some cases censored. And there's people that are being totally destroyed just because they have a differing viewpoint or a belief, or they might have done something that's slightly offensive to a certain minority group and now their whole life is ruined. And that's infuriating. That's not what America is in your mind, right? That's not what it is. And I get that. I get you being angry. I get you feeling like there's these people that don't actually care about what America is and what it was built on, and the hard work and the dedication and the commitment and all those things. It feels like it's just being ripped apart and it's being destroyed. And that this blind rage that's coming from the left, right? It's not rational, it's not logical. And that if you let it go unchecked, it's gonna just totally change the country. It won't be America anymore. It's not gonna be here anymore. And you're terrified of that. I get it. I get it. The problem is, it's not about me getting it. It's not even about the other side getting it and understanding your perspective. That's important. Don't get me wrong. That's so important. But that's not the critical missing piece. The critical missing piece is for you to get it about your own side and to admit it and acknowledge it. If you're on the left, it's okay, right? You can acknowledge it. We do have an opportunity here. We do want change, deep change, because it needs to change. But sometimes we go too far. Sometimes we censor too much. Sometimes this outrage, cancel culture that's kind of right there intertwined with social media, it gives us this power and we seize on it. And at times that's wrong. And we shut down too much free speech sometimes because we're afraid of it, right? We're afraid of what it's gonna bring. We're afraid what it's done historically and what it's gonna bring now. But again, there's no gain, there's nothing won if all you do is shut down what you don't wanna hear and believe. You have to be above that. Fight for your cause. For all the reasons that I stated before, that I get it why you want to fight for it and why the president seems like the nail in the coffin of we can't function in society with these people. But acknowledge that you're not playing completely to win for a country either. You're just playing for your side to win. And same thing on the right. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that Trump is not the president that is most ideal for us. Are there things about him that you like because you feel like he fights for you? Yeah, of course. But acknowledge that there's times, whether it be his handling and taking responsibility for things, the mistakes that he may have made, for offensive things that he says, for the way that he didn't bring us together after the George Floyd tragedy, for all these reasons, the opportunities where he could have been better. He didn't have to be better, right? He didn't have to be better, but he could have been. And that's what we need from a president, right? Acknowledge that. Acknowledge that historically, we as a country have done things that are terrible. We enslaved people. We beat them in front of their children and made their children our slaves. And then when we freed them, we just tortured them, more or less, psychologically, physically. We did all of those things. And it just continually progressed in ways in which we tried to just treat them like they weren't part of this country. Acknowledge it. It's true. It's horrific. Not all of us were complicit in it or participated in it, but it happened. And it should be acknowledged, and something should be done about it. And if something is offensive, it should be taken down. Acknowledge that. That's okay. That doesn't destroy America. So the point is, you have these two sides, and they're so sure that each side is right, and they want to win so badly. But my fear is, if one of these sides wins, either one, it doesn't matter. If one of these sides wins, we all lose. We all lose if one of these sides wins. Because all that you're going to have is the same thing that we've seen throughout history. You're going to have a group that has the power, has the control, has the ability to oppress people they don't like and that don't agree with them, and they're going to exploit it. And that's not what we want. We want something better. That's supposed to be the goal. So I say this to the people on each of those sides that feel so strongly that they are doing this for the good of America. The thing to be done for the good of America is not to just desperately want your side to win. It's to find a way to make us better as a whole. That has to be it. Otherwise, there is no America. And I have to believe, people on the left, people on the right, as I said before, I believe the huge majority are good people, right? I have to believe if you sit on a particular side and you think about the people on the other side, right? The people that you know, family members, in-laws, friends, co-workers, people you went to high school with, right? That have a differing view. And you talk to them sometimes and you see them on social media and they post things that you so much disagree with and you can't fathom how they think. How could they support this movement that's censoring free speech, right? Or how could they support this president who's so clearly, hurting the country? You feel so sure, right? But I have to believe that if you put the politics aside for a minute and think about that, whoever it is, coworker, colleague, friend, family, whoever it is, if you think about them just as a person for a minute, you think of it totally differently. If need be, if push came to shove, if it was something that you needed desperately, right? Something to help save your life or to help you in a crisis, you believe majority of those people would be there for you. As people, they are good people, right? They just want to be good Americans just like you do. They've just gotten warped and twisted into seeing things through a lens that just fed hate. And that's all they know in the moment, just like you do. But they're still good people. And if you think of it that way, right? At the end of the day, most of us, at our core, if you can ignore the politics, want what's best for each other. That's what we need to focus on. And use that. Use that as the motivation, as the jet fuel to push yourself, to question yourself more. It can't be true that these people I know, I've known them for 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years. I've known these people. Good people I've spent my life with, I've spent holidays with, all these things. Now I hate them. Now they're the enemy and the devil and they're evil. That can't be true. You know that's not true. So use that to seed a little bit of doubt in yourself, to seed a little bit of questioning, to say, hey, what maybe have I or our side been doing that really isn't in good faith? Because that's what's needed. Somebody has to step up. There's no point in winning. If somebody wins, everybody loses. So some group has to step up and acknowledge, hey, we got to get this thing figured out. It's not just about me winning. It's about trying to fix this thing as a whole and owning what we've done wrong and working to get to a better place.